So today we will talk about Shamsuddin al-Tutmish. He succeeded Haram Shah, the son of Qutbuddin Aibak. So Qutbuddin was a slave. He founded the slave dynasty or the Delhi Sultanate, but Shamsuddin al-Tutmish is considered as the effective founder of Delhi Sultanate because Qutbuddin Aibak never ruled from Delhi, and he never got or received any investiture from the Caliph. He was a Malik, as you can say. So Shamsuddin al-Tutmish was actually a ruler or a sultan who received investiture from the Caliph in Baghdad called Muhtasim Billah. So that's why he is known as the effective founder of Delhi Sultanate rather than Qutbuddin Aibak. So how he came into power is that Qutbuddin Aibak, after the demise of Qutbuddin Aibak in 1210, his son Aram Shah came into power. He was very incompetent and wasn't suitable for ruling a large kingdom and empire. So Shamsuddin al-Tutmish defeated him and started controlling Delhi. A lot of other people had also founded their own independent states like Yildiz in Ghazni, and then in Lahore, and then Nasiruddin Qabacha in Sindh and Multan area founded his own independent empire, disassociating themselves from the Delhi Sultanate or from Qutbuddin Aibak's empire, and Khilji in Bengal, and Hashim and Khilji in Bengal. These were the people that declared themselves as sultans. So the Delhi part was controlled by Shamsuddin al-Tutmish after defeating Haram Shah. So let's talk about a bit before he became the sultan. So he was Sarai Jandar and Amir Shikar. These two posts are very important and of high power or maximum power that one can imagine. So after that he was promoted to the seat of governor of Budhain. Some call it Badain and some call it Budhain. So it is now in Uttar Pradesh, India. The reason that he was promoted so quickly was his abilities, and that is the same reason that he was offered. He was actually a slave of a slave. He was bought by Qutbuddin Aibak, he himself was a slave. So he became Shamsuddin al-Tutmish became slave of a slave. So Muizuddin Ghori gave manumission to Shamsuddin al-Tutmish before he gave manumission to Qutbuddin Aibak. So al-Tutmish was freed from the label of being a slave before his purchaser Qutbuddin Aibak was given a free letter of manumission. So that all happened due to his abilities and ruling abilities. So let's come to the part when he became actually the Sultan of Delhi. So when he came Sultan of Delhi, he had to fight with Yildiz in 1215. He fought with Yildiz to capture Lahore, and in the Battle of Tarain, we have discussed already two battles of Tarain in 1191 and 1192. So that's the third battle of Tarain, in which Tajuddin Yildiz was defeated by Shamsuddin al-Tutmish. And then in 1217 we have al-Tutmish capturing Sindh from Nasiruddin Qabacha, and after that from 1220 to 1225 he fought for Lakhnauti. He captured Lakhnauti from Khiljis, and then Bihar and Bengal from Hashmuddin, and he also attacked Khokhars and who had declared independence. So he captured Gwalior, Malwa, Jalore, Ujjain and Bhilsa. In 1221 Mongols attacked, but he played a diplomatic trick. Mongols were after Jalaluddin Malbarni. So Iltutmish refused to give refuge to Malbarni and asked him to leave India. In this way he avoided attacks from Mongols on India in 1221. And after that in 1227 he also took over Mandor fort. Okay, So these are the reasons his kingdom was expanding very quickly. These are the reasons that the caliph in Baghdad awarded him with investiture and considered him as a true sultan of India. Muhtasim Billah awarded him with investiture. Okay, after that we will talk about a few things that he did during his reign. So gold coins were constructed in his name and in the name of goddess of wealth, Lakshmi Devi. So and he introduced two system coins. The first was Tanka and the second was Jital. Tanka was silver and the Jital was of copper. They were both 175 grams. So he introduced two system coin, and he also introduced tax system, which was of four types. First, zakat on Muslims, jizya on non-Muslims, khums is the fifth part that is taken from the bounty after fight, and the fourth was kharaj, that was taken over the land, etc. So a bit about the architecture. He was a very fond of architects, and some of the monuments and buildings he built are Jama Masjid Shamsi in Budain, House Shamsi in Budain as well. Jahaz Mahal was built by him. He also built the mausoleum of Sultan Ghori. Then he built a Kotla in Budain, and then the question is asked about his performance and what he did, what contribution he offered in populating India with Muslims. So he was the person who had a vision that Muslims should settle in India. So he introduced the system of Iqtadari, in which the warriors, the warlords, were not given salary; they were given a land on which they could cultivate and settle there. So in this way, he invited warlords to fight with him, with Hindu rulers of India, and as a return, he used to give them lands where they could settle. So in this way, he allowed Muslim. He gave a chance to Muslims, mostly Turks and Afghanis and Persians, to come and settle in India. In this way, Muslim population in India began to accumulate. So he was the person who introduced the concept of Iqtadari, and the person who used to hold that Iqtadar was Muqtadir. Okay, he also bought 40 slaves that are called the 40 nobles, and or Chahal Ghani in the language at that time. So the famous nobles were Malik Bakbak, Amir Khan, Sher Khan, Haibat Khan, Ghiyasuddin Balban, and Ikhtyaruddin. These were the people, the famous nobles. So and a tragedy that happened during his life was his son Nasiruddin Mahmud, who was supposed to become the Sultan after Shamsuddin al-Tutmish, was killed in 1229 in battle. So there was no competent ruler left or competent candidate left to take over after Shamsuddin. So that is the reason that Shamsuddin asked his 40 nobles to select Razia Sultana, his daughter, as the Sultan after him, his successor. He asked the 40 nobles to choose Razia Sultana as his successor, but the 40 nobles didn't do that. They selected Ruknuddin Firoz as the successor of Shamsuddin al-Tutmish in 1236 after his demise. So the tragedy that happened was that Ruknuddin didn't have any interest in the matters of the state. So his mother Shah Tarkain used to handle all the affairs of the state. She has very incapacitating love for power. She was very fond of power. She used power in very cruel ways. So that is the way the nobles got frightened, and they feared that their status would also go away if Shah Tarkain managed to rule for a longer period. So they killed both Ruknuddin Firoz and Shah Tarkain. So in this way, Razia Sultana came into power. Razia Sultana, and after that Muizuddin Firoz and his successor Nasiruddin Mahmud, We will discuss those in our next video because they are not that much important. We will cover all these in one lecture. So one thing that is I want to discuss is that Shamsuddin al-Tutmish is buried in Qutb complex in Mahroli, or you can say Maharwali, in Old Delhi. So that's the all about Shamsuddin al-Tutmish.